Hello, 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 LinkedIn. We are on here. We're live and ready to go. Let's go, Master Connectors. And here we go. He challenged me. He said, you should meet 2 or 3 people every day.
We're talking about how to level up on LinkedIn and engagement, being the go-giver, the idea that being open to opportunity.
We all deal with challenges, but how do you overcome them?
Master Connector with Steve Spiro and Cameron Toth is live on air.
All right. Here we are. What's going on, LinkedIn? What's going on, friends? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct here. So, in business and in life, and by the way, before we get into that, we want to thank you for being on here. We appreciate you. Get in the comments. Make sure you're connecting with each other. Let us know where you're from. I'm calling in from Stamford, Connecticut. We want to know where you're calling in from. So put in the comments where you're dialing in from, and we are going to have some fun today. We're going to have a blast. I am flying solo today with my guest. Cameron is traveling this week, so we might see him in the comments. We'll see. But I know he's going to be focused on family, which I appreciate and I respect. But hey, in business and in life, obstacles are inevitable, right? But it's the ability to face them head on with unwavering determination and resilience that sets true leaders apart. Today, we delve into the deep and the concept of grit and that relentless spirit that propels individuals to conquer their personal and professional Everest, right? And just like climbing the world's highest peak, the path to success is filled with treacherous terrain, right? Unforeseen setbacks and moments that test our limits. But it's through these challenges that we discover our true potential. You may have experienced a failure, maybe a failed adventure, or failed venture, I should say, or health challenges, or a career setback, or some kind of personal struggle. But how do we find the strength to rise above, to learn from those experiences and turn those obstacles into stepping stones, right? So we're going to explore strategies that our guest uses to conquer his Everest, right? He literally conquered the Everest, right? And the mindset that he shifts, the mindset shifts that he embraces, and the lessons that he's learned along the way, okay? And grit, it's not just a buzzword. It's a fundamental trait that can be nurtured and cultivated. And we'll share practical tips today on insights to help you develop and strengthen your own grit. And empowering you to overcome the obstacles that come your way, okay? So whether you're an inspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned executive, or simply just someone looking for inspiration to navigate the challenges of the business world, today's show is absolutely going to help guide you on your journey towards success. You'll know that you too can conquer your Everest. So get ready to be inspired, motivated, and empowered as we embark on this incredible expedition together. So if you're ready to introduce our guest, I want you to type in the comments hashtag. Now, I'm not techie here because I'm techie, but my co-host does a lot of this stuff for me. So you're going to just have to listen and just type in hashtag bring it, because we're going to bring it in right now. So I am about to introduce our co-host. So type in hashtag bring it. And if you're ready, here we go. I'm going to introduce Sean. And Sean, you're going to be full screen, sir. And I'm going to go off screen and I'm going to bring you up here. All right. So here we go. All right. Ready? Sean Swarner was voted one of the top 8 most inspirational people in history. He is a multiple world record holder, Emmy-nominated Amazon film subject, and has been featured on ESPN, CBS, NBC, ABC, Fox, CNN, as well as countless other domestic and international shows. He's the only person in history to climb Mount Everest, the highest mountain on every continent, ski both poles, and complete the Hawaiian Ironman triathlon, all after surviving 2 terminal cancers, a 14-day prognosis, year-long coma, and with only 1 lung, right? It's crazy. For Sean, it's about an empowering mindset. He awakens and elevates the potential of human spirit to a more purposeful, meaningful life, one step and one decision at a time. Sean takes you on a journey that not only inspires, but offers a message of hope and resilience, tapping into the motivational adrenaline rush running through us all. Sean reveals a life of limitless possibilities as he details the seemingly impossible boundaries he has conquered, battles he has fought, and peaks he has climbed, all motivated by an astonishing inner strength and superhuman-like physical endurance. So, hey, please welcome to the show the superhuman survivor and conqueror, Mr. Sean Swarner. Say hello to everybody. Give us a little bit of shout out here. Where you, sir?
That was phenomenal, and I appreciate that. You forgot to mention that he's also the first person to be on your show with a gorilla painting in the background and a didgeridoo.
Well, listen, we're pushing limits here today. That's for sure. You know, it's that's amazing. Well, we're blessed to have you. I know you just came back from Kilimanjaro, right? You just climbed Kilimanjaro. Is that right?
I did. It was actually my 24th trip up the mountain. And in the real quick, I lead a group up every year as a fundraiser for a cancer charity. Anyone can go. It's a beautiful trip. It's a life-changing adventure. And this was my 24th time on the mountain. And the previous 23 trips, I've had 0 issues with altitude. I've 100% success rate. And my groups are at 99% success rate. But for some reason, my body just reacted adversely in the altitude. And I actually removed myself from the situation. It was one of the most difficult decisions I've ever had to make, because looking back at it, I wanted to keep going. I was destroyed. I was leading 16 people up the mountain. I have a great team in place over in Tanzania, but knowing what I know about altitude and the feelings that come with that, if I wouldn't have had the experience, I don't think I'd be sitting here talking to you right now. I think I'd be dead.
Wow. That's crazy. You are something else, man. We appreciate you. Well, we want to dig in a little bit here, and we want to get into the meat and potatoes of the show. So community, type in right now, #how, and make sure to share this with your network. We want to get this out, right? Yeah. So basically, here's the question, right? How do you have the grit, right, to have gotten through all you've gotten through and gone through, and to continue to push the limits? Let's hear a little bit about that.
You know, it goes back to the whole concept and idea of it always seems impossible until it's done. You know, one of my favorite quotes, and it goes back to when I was battling through one of my first cancers. I remember being 60, 70 pounds overweight on the shower floor. All my hair fell out while I was there. And the 20 minutes I was taking a shower, and the chunks of hair were clogging up the drain. I had to pull those out so the water could go down. And I remember just sobbing and weeping, but realizing that I didn't want to focus on not dying. I wanted to focus on living. So I think having the right perspective and understanding that I didn't want to be drawn towards the avoidance of something. I wanted to be drawn towards something that I did want, as opposed to not wanting to die. I wanted to live. I wanted to survive. And I think having that mentality, that perspective really helped.
That's amazing. That's great. I am baffled and in awe of everything that you do and go through. All right. So we want to kind of go into this next. So strategies, right? So community, type in #strategies. And so here's the question, right? Can you share with us some of the strategies and tactics that you've used to conquer your personal Everest, and how, I mean, obviously tying that back, because we're on LinkedIn, it's business, network, whatever, and how business professionals can apply these things that you're talking about to their own obstacles in the corporate world.
Absolutely. Everything I do and everything I think every decision people make should be based on what they value most, their personal core values. A great example, I was last week, I was in Dallas at an entrepreneurs conference, and there were millionaires and multimillionaires and a couple billionaires there. And I remember stopping, we were doing an interview kind of like this. And I looked in the audience and I picked a guy who was a billionaire, and I looked at him and I was like, "Why are you here?" He goes, "Well, because I want to network." It's like, "But why?" "Well, so I can make more money." "But why?" "So I can get another jet." I was like, "Do you really need 4 jets?" It's like, "Why are you doing this?" He goes, "Well, I'm here, I suppose." And I just kept asking, getting deeper. And he came back and he eventually said, "Well, I'm trying to support and take care of my family." I was like, bingo, there you go. There's your personal core value. You're not here to make those networks. You're not here to make more money. You're not here to buy another jet. You're here because you want to support your family. That's your personal core value. That's why you're here. So I think once people tap into their personal core values and the real reason behind the thing, then you'll have this unlimited source of energy and motivation to move forward. Because once you reach the top of the mountain, there's always going to be another peak to conquer. Once you cross the finish line, there's always going to be another race. Once you buy the new car, it's going to rust and you're going to have to get another one. So you have to understand the meaning behind the goal. And once you do that, now you have a strategy to utilize that personal core value to help you and move you forward, no matter what obstacle gets in your way.
I love it. What you said reminds me a little bit of one of the books I've read in the past, which is Robert Schuller. It's called Peak to Peak, and it's PEAK to PEEK, I believe it is. And what he talks about is when you get to the first mountain, you get to the peak, you're just before you're peaking over, because you're looking at the next peak, right? And you always want to have something that you're striving for, because I think as humans, I won't just say as men, but as humans, we want to always feel like we're accomplishing something, because otherwise we kind of lose our purpose. And I agree with you. And you got to know why you're doing something, because ultimately, if you don't know why, you'll never do the work to get it, right? And so one of the things that I've done is I've put together a personal mission statement of, what that relates back to my core values and why. And so it pushes me and propels me forward, because many times, you're going to hit the obstacles, you're going to hit the suck, right? You got to go through suck to get to success, right? So it's just important to know. I love what you said about knowing your values and understanding the why there, and it helps get through there. Before we get to some of the next stuff we want to talk about, I wanted to acknowledge a few people. Thanks for joining us, Mike. I don't know if I've seen you on the show. Yolanda, thank you. She's welcomed you. Yolanda is an incredible, loyal, guest of our show, and we just appreciate you, Yolanda. And looks like John Phillips. John, we haven't seen you in a while, but we're glad to have you here on the show. It's good to see you. My good friend, Mr. Andy Phillips, checking in here. So we're just excited. The community that we appreciate you, our community here. Pretty awesome, pretty amazing. So. So we want to get a little bit deeper here now. And by the way, Sean, where are you dialing in from? What's your location right now?
Right now, I'm home in Colorado, and
Okay.
If you don't mind, I'd love to go back to the values and stuff that you mentioned.
Please, feel free to.
Companies, and I wrote that down too. Companies have a corporate vision statement, right? They have values, and those guide the company's decisions. That way, if they're inundated and bombarded with 1,000 different offers, they're going to go after the ones that matter most. Why wouldn't you have that for your life? I don't get it. Most people don't. So congratulations on and knowing what your personal core values are. I've given countless keynote presentations, and sometimes I'll stop and just ask people by a show of hands, how many people have taken time, not out of the day, not out of their year, but out of their life to write down what their personal core values are. And 2% maybe.
Yeah. So true.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. I took it to another step, and not only core values, but I put it into a personal mission statement that encompasses my personal values. And it was really a life-changing endeavor for me to do, for sure. It really has helped big time. And I recommend anyone do that. And, and if it doesn't get you emotional, I don't think you hit it yet, because I get very emotional when I go through it. I have to struggle from crying often.
Absolutely. And one of the, because we can talk about this later, but I put together an online 3-week mental wellness challenge for people. And once they know what their personal core values are, what's really eye-opening and even tapping more into that, the deeper emotions that you mentioned, is, let's say you have a list of your top 10 personal core values. And that's great. That's fantastic. You now have a set of guidelines essentially to help you make decisions. But taking it a step further, try this next time. On a scale of 1 to 10, rate how you're actually living each of those values.
Mm.
So let's say for me, I value family. I value health. Yep. It should be a 10, or a 9, because we can all improve. But let's say it should be a 9. However, if I'm honest with myself and I get emotional and now I rip back the ego, that's gone, and I really look at it, I'm like, I'm living that value that means so much to me at a 5.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I love what Yolanda, just want to acknowledge what she said. She said core values guide us, our thoughts, actions, and decisions. Very, very true. Yeah, for sure. Well, good. Well, let's keep moving here. I want to kind of chat a little bit more on the next topic here. So we want to talk about boundaries, right? There's core values, and that kind of the opposite side of that is, right, our boundaries and what we're willing to do and not willing to do. And but we're going to take a slightly different spin on boundaries. So as a multiple world record holder, conquering seemingly impossible boundaries, how can business professionals effectively set goals and push them beyond their comfort zone? Give us some thoughts on that, if you would.
Great question. And the first thing that hit me is who you are and what you want in the future isn't who you are now. Otherwise, you'd have it. You get that. Living as though your future self is in the present gives you that mindset to be able to break through those boundaries and push forward, because you first have to believe it's possible. I was told numerous times by the medical community that it was physiologically impossible to climb Everest with one lung. But I didn't believe it. It also goes back to why, if you look at how a bumblebee can fly with its tiny little wings, jokingly people say, how the bumblebee flies? No one's ever told him he couldn't.
That's right.
The same thing with climbing Everest, the same thing with going after your own boundaries and your seemingly impossible dreams. You have to live as though those future goals are in the present. And maybe there's something holding you back, a limiting belief of some sort. And it could be that maybe you look at yourself in the future and you see yourself as being this confident, outgoing person. You're an amazing, like a master connector. Maybe right now I'm kind of introverted and I don't really go out too much. So looking at who I am in the future and who I am now, what value do I need to change and enhance to bring me to where I want to go?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, a phenomenal point there, right? And I heard one of my mentors said, he said, listen, you need to take who you want to be, and like you said, bring it to the present and make sure that you're living like you're that person. And it sounds so simple, but it's so powerful to do that. And because he said if you're, let's say you're a speaker, right? And you want to be a speaker. Well, do what speakers do, right? If you want to be, an Olympic athlete, right? do what Olympic athletes do, right? I mean, you're not going to operate on the opposite that. You're not going to, if you want to be an Olympic athlete, you're probably not going to put McDonald's into your body, right? It's just, it's not what Olympic athletes do. You're going to do what they do. So I love that point. So appreciate that.
It's so true, because you look at Olympic athletes, you look at moms and dads, you look at meteorologists. Human beings are creatures of habit. And what do meteorologists do when they wake up in the morning? They have a certain pattern. They have certain habits that they do. What do Olympic athletes do when they wake up? They have a certain set of patterns. What do parents do when they wake up? They have a certain set of patterns. If you want something different, because humans are creatures of habit, if you want something different, do something different. It doesn't have to be everything all at once. Just pick one thing, make it a habit, and then turn it into another habit. How did I get to the top of Everest? I didn't just magically show up. I had to believe it was possible. And then I started off by climbing smaller peaks and working my way up to the highest mountain in the world.
That's it. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah. It's so important to push your limits and to make sure that you're doing that on a daily basis, for sure. And you embody that, for sure. So we want to touch on the next piece of this. Or we love stories, right? And you're all about stories, Sean, obviously. But so here's what we want to talk about, right? You've been featured on numerous media platforms, sharing your incredible story. Would love to hear how business professionals, how can they harness the power of storytelling to motivate and connect with their audience? Because a big part of our pillar is building community, growing connections, connecting authentically. Those are some of our pillars. So talk to us a little bit about your perspective on that as well.
The first thing that came to my mind was, I have never made it to the top of any significant peak by myself. I have always had the Sherpas. I've always had the team I put together in Africa, people who have been training me, my wife who believes in me, going through the cancers. I had the doctors, I had the nurses, I had people in the right place to help me out. But also, one of the very first stories that we talked about was me being on the bottom of the shower floor, 13 years old, crying my eyeballs out. It helps, and a lot of people are afraid to do this because of their ego, but it helps if you remove the ego and you make yourself a human being. Everybody's going through issues. Everybody has mountains to climb. Everybody has problems. Some might be bigger than others, and that's perfectly fine. But as soon as you become vulnerable and authentic in who you are and remove the ego, you can relate to people on a completely different level, and not just inspire and motivate, but you can truly empower them to make a difference.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, what I found in telling your story and revealing those vulnerabilities and revealing some of the weaknesses and challenges that you've gone through, it breaks barriers down, right? And it gives people the ability now. I've had conversations with people where they got teary-eyed, they got welled up, in some cases actually literally bawled and cried. And they said to me, "Hey, Steve, I've never had these conversations. I never spoke about this with somebody that I just met." And it's because when you tell stories and you reveal some of those challenges, the things, right? I love the fact that you talk about that you're a multiple cancer survivor and, the one lung piece, right? You're not doing that to brag. You're just saying, hey, listen, this is some of the things I've dealt with. And if I could do this, you can too. And people relate to that. If you're this perfect person, always, showing as, you're amazing, you're awesome. Most people, they want to gag, it's like that. No, it's not nothing that they can relate to. But the fact that we're human, people love that. And they love people. We talked about this the other day, last week, about, people love an overcomer story. They love the Rockies and the Rudies of the world. So love the fact that you are on the same page with us on that as well.
Absolutely, man. I mean, not everyone's going to climb Everest, but everyone does have an Everest to climb.
That's right.
And maybe someone's goal, I mean, going back again, when I was going into remission, 60, 70 pounds overweight, I was a competitive swimmer for years. And I remember when I tried to go back in the water, I felt like, an elephant swimming back and forth. I wasn't streamlined, I wasn't anything. And that oh so flattering Speedo didn't exactly look good on me either. So I remember swimming back and forth thinking, this is great, this is going to be fantastic. But I made it one lap and I had to use the ladder to get out. You have to start somewhere. And there's a perfect step right there. Taking one step at a time is a great way to achieve your goals. You have to go back and remove the ego, but have faith in yourself, knowing that you have the ability to do it. And you can always rely on others to help give you that little nudge. So when you have that right team in place, being vulnerable really shows others that, hey, I struggle too. You struggle too. Who else? Richard, John, everybody struggles at some point in their lives, but we can choose how we react to that struggle.
Absolutely. Very true. And I just want to quickly acknowledge, great comment, great point there. You called her out, but I want to just say thank you, Yolanda, for always contributing. Appreciate you, Mr. Phillips also. And welcome to the show, Richard, I think it's Esty, and looks like Tariq. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce the last name, but I know it looks like you might be speaking in Arabic. I can't tell, but welcome to the show. I'm sure you're getting a lot of great value out of today, for sure. Let's see. We also have Yolanda says others can offer advice, encouragement, and a listening ear. Absolutely, for sure. Yeah. So, all right. Well, we're going to keep things rolling here. So we want to talk about the next piece of this, and that is resilience, right? So hashtag resilience community, put that in the comments now. And I know I could always count on Yolanda to do that for us, to show us the way. But here's what we want to talk about, right? Your physical endurance is awe-inspiring. Okay. It really is. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, what you've gone through and what you continue to, right? Competing in the Ironman Hawaii triathlon, right? And, how you did, and all the other things you did, Everest and all that, right? One lung. So here's the question. How did you train your body and mind to push beyond perceived limits? And what lessons can we learn from your approach to physical fitness and mental resilience?
Great question. I'm taking notes here because I think it's amazing how mental being physical is. And a lot of times people have to see something before they believe it's possible, where I would say I'm the complete opposite. I need to believe it's possible, and then I figure out a way to make it happen. And I've also put myself on initially not on purpose, because there were nights I went to bed, I was read my last rites. As you said, I was in a medically induced coma for a year of my life. There were nights I was terrified to close my eyes because I didn't know if they were going to open the next morning. And I ended up learning how to be comfortable in the uncomfortable, but also truly embracing and living in the moment, because that's all we really have. And I think looking at how that developed my resilience, now I purposely put myself in uncomfortable situations to build that resilience stronger. So training for Everest, I would go out in the snow and shorts and in a t-shirt, and obviously be really close to the back door to warm up again, but putting myself in situations where I was uncomfortable to build that strength. So if you're looking to be, like you said, a speaker, if you're looking to be a leader, run towards that fear, go towards being uncomfortable so you can slowly build it stronger and stronger. But the bottom, going back again, is understanding why you're doing it. So that way you have that, the proverbial carrot that you're dangling in front of your face. If you don't like carrots, find a piece of celery. If you don't like celery, find maybe not a cookie, but find something that really motivates you. So you're chasing something for the right reasons. And then you will understand that because of those deeper reasons, the deeper purpose behind it, you will have all the resiliency in the world, because what's within you is always stronger than what's in your way.
Absolutely. That's great. Well, I just want to take a pause here in a moment. I just, selfish plug. You guys know I published my book. It's obviously up on the screen there. The Tao of a Master Connector, and a lot of this this book is on, Overcoming Obstacles. That's one of the 4 pillars of our show. It's also one of the 4 pillars of our book. And I just posted in the chat, in the comments, I'm going to be, if you're local, if you're anywhere within the New York tri-state area, I'll be in Austin, New York tomorrow at 7 p.m. at the Hudson Valley Books for Humanity and 67 Central Avenue in Austin, New York. Again, the information's in the chat. I hope you can join us. And if you're not local, definitely make sure to pick up the book. I think it's phenomenal, in my opinion. That's obviously I'm a little biased, but I do believe that as well. So definitely, I just posting that in the comments here to get my book on Amazon if you want. But so just a quick, I know Cameron is really good with this. He's quick on the draw, but there's a little launch of getting your copy of the book. Okay, there we go. I got that out of the way. And by the way, while we're doing it, just a quick thank you for Cameron and his company, Toth Event Staffing. We appreciate you, Cameron, doing that. We do for very much so. But yeah, we're kind of coming towards the tail end here. We want to kind of bring it home with one last kind of question here. So community, type in #LongGame. All right. And so we want to talk a little bit about that here as I could pull up my cheat sheet here. So what would you say, Sean, to our viewers to help them stay motivated and continue to challenge themselves and maintain their drive for success in the long run? Give us your perspective, if you could.
Having a deeper meaning, deeper purpose will give you more passion. And again, it goes back to understanding why you're doing what you're doing. You know, understanding that it's not going to be something overnight, but that mentality can happen overnight. For example, on Mount Everest, it took me, most people don't know this, it took me a month and a half to climb the mountain. You know, I was camping and I didn't shower for a month. You know, granted, we had little bowls of hot water to do the sitz bath, but I was uncomfortable sleeping on the side of a mountain for a month and a half. And I also only spent 30 minutes on the top. So understanding that I spent a month and a half on the side of the mountain trying to reach my goal and only 20 to 30 minutes at my goal. So once you appreciate the process and know you're going to learn more during the event, during the process of reaching your goal, and you start to enjoy what you're doing, you're going to continue forward. And you understand that the long game it's never about the end result. It's always about the process and understanding and enjoying what you're truly doing.
Amazing. Fantastic. Good stuff. Definitely, you know, to me, it's all about, you know, one of the things I did a great, I felt like it was a great podcast interview with my friend Scott Ferguson, aka Fergie. Time to Shine is the name of his podcast, and just incredible. And you know, he asked me for what one of my superpowers is, and you know, and I said it's a never quit attitude. It's like, because I feel like if you don't quit, you win. And you just, there's no way to fail if you don't quit. So, you know, and we live in a world where, you know, it's like, okay, let me try this, let me try that. And you know, that's why our divorce rate's so high, because people have that, you know, kind of quit mentality. Oh, I'll try it. If the marriage doesn't work, I'll just get in. Listen, I'm not judging if you're divorced. I'm not judging. Right. But the mentality of being, you know, I'll give it a try. No, if you give it a try, that means you have a back door. And if there's a back door, most people take it. Right? You got to go in all in, right? You're not going to give it a try to climb to the top of Mount Everest, right? You don't just give it a try. You got to go all in, right? Now there might be some things that could stop you, but it doesn't mean you can't give it all that you got. What are your thoughts on that there, Sean?
Absolutely, because going back to vivid visualization, the brain doesn't know the difference between reality and vivid visualization. So every night when I was battling my cancers, I would picture myself in the future swimming back and forth. You know, one of my goals, climbing Everest, climbing the mountains, doing the Hawaii Ironman, whatever it was, giving a presentation, doing a podcast interview. It doesn't matter. I always visualize myself taking, for example, those last 3 or 4 steps going up to the summit of Mount Everest. And that first person vivid visualization taps into the powerhouse of your brain, the subconscious. And it will help you figure out a way to make it happen. But the thing is, it has to be first person point of view. It can't be like a dream, like, oh, I see myself going up there. No, first person point of view, but then start utilizing your other senses. So for me, going up to the Everest, I heard the styrofoam crunching of the snow under my feet. I could smell the ozone. I felt the sun beating against my face. So utilizing first person point of view, the other four senses, and the biggest one that people neglect is, how do you feel when you reach the top? How do you feel when you hit that goal? Because that's where it really connects the mind and body. And science has shown that the brain can do some amazing things. And there's research all over the place showing that vivid visualization works. It's not just me believing it. It's not the whole focus. But you have to connect it to your emotions, because those emotions help you tap into the powerhouse.
That's right. 100%. That is truth right there, for sure. I mean, when you're, and they say it's scientific, it's chemical, right? You're triggering things in your brain by the feeling. It's because that's what makes this locked in. It takes true effect into the subconscious, is when you feel something emotionally, right? Then it's locked in, right? It's not just, you're seeing something, but you're seeing and feeling it. So absolutely agree wholeheartedly with what you said. Hopefully I did this right, but I did put in the chat, I know you have an offer, and you kind of alluded to it earlier in the show, but if you could just maybe just speak on that a bit, on your offer. I'm going to try to do my best to, again, I'm not as good as this camera with the technology piece of this, but if you can just tell us a little bit about that offer that you have, please.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate the opportunity. It is a 3-week mental wellness challenge, helping people with their mindset. And it goes into tapping into how I did what I did, but not me telling you, hey, this is what you need to do. It's guiding you to empower yourself to figure it out on your own. So there's more ownership. And I'm glad somebody brought that up, because I actually created a code for half off. It's MCS50.
Okay.
So exactly what we're talking about here, the Master Connector Show, MCS50.
Let me see if I can type that in. MCS
50.
MCS 50. Okay, cool. All right. And let's there. So we're putting that in here. That's what your code should be. Make sure you're putting that in there for sure. So well, good. Well, we appreciate this. This has been amazing. So tell the community, our amazing community, best way to reach you, and any other closing final thoughts that you might have for our community.
That's the easiest question you've asked so far. It's just SeanSwarner.com, first name, last name.com. That is the easiest and best way to get in touch with me. And as far as final thoughts, stop chasing after other people's dreams and goals. Tap into and do what matters most to you. Go after your own goals, and then understand that if you're, I'll wrap up by saying this. I learned that I never had to be the best, but I had to be my best. And if you can increase and improve who you are today a little bit better than who you were yesterday, you will be at the summit. But bring some people with you along the way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And listen, this, a big part of our show, as you can see on the bottom, is being the light. We are a big part. That's our mission: uplift, inspire, encourage. And we hope that this show, and I believe that this show has brought the light and encouraged you. And so if you do feel good about it, make sure to share this with your network. Get it out there, right? If you're watching it on the replay, type in #replay. But we just appreciate you, Sean, for taking some time out of your schedule. And real quick, before we count down to crush it, we have a little tradition. But I want to remind the community that next week, which is our episode 125, pretty amazing. We're just, it's incredible that we've gone to 125 episodes. but it's going to be let's see here. Let's see it here. It's going to be episode 25, which with Jesse Gittler. He is our guest, and it's how to bounce back. It's going to be a fun show. So we're kind of on this, kind of like this wave with the show here. So make sure you tune in. Save Back Time, Save Back Channel, August 9th at 7 p.m. I'm sorry, at 1 p.m. Eastern, right? And if you are local, make sure you come check out my show. Check out the book signing in Austin at 7 p.m. tomorrow night, Thursday, that is. But yeah, we're gonna count down to crush it. So what we do, Sean, is as we close the show out, we're gonna stick up our 5 fingers, and then we're gonna just count down from 5 to 1, and then we're gonna punch the screen, not physically, but almost, and shout out crush it. So if you would join with me on this, and usually Cameron does it too. So ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Crush it. There we go. All right. Community, thank you. We love you guys. Appreciate you. We'll be back here, and I am going to do my best to play the closeout video because, again, my co-host does all this great stuff for me. But here we go. Appreciate you guys. See you next week. Go crush it.